The woman had been a flight attendant for almost 15 years. In that time, she'd dealt with a lot of difficult passengers, but this one was starting to push it. It had all started when the pilot turned on the seatbelt sign. This was unusual because they were in a small plane with only 8 passengers and they were flying from a small airport. It should have been a smooth flight, but apparently there was some wind at their destination. So the pilot decided to turn on the seatbelt sign just in case. That's when the man in first class stood up and started shouting, "Take off the bloody seatbelt sign. It's ridiculous. Don't you think I can handle a bit of wind?" Before the flight attendant could respond, he grabbed his bag from the overhead bin and stormed back to his seat. She knew that look. He wasn't just a rowdy drunk guy who had a little too much to drink before boarding. He was in crisis. He was scared, and fear makes people do crazy things. She needed to get through to him, but how? Her first move was to go with the flow. His outburst had made everyone on board uncomfortable, but she needed to raise the stakes. So she did something bold. When she passed by the man, she leaned in close and said in a low voice, "Sir, we are in turbulence." He stiffened. "What?" Then he turned to her, his face pale. "You said it before, but I didn't hear you. You said we're in danger." "No, sir," Anaya said, calm and low. "We're in turbulence. Please sit down. I'll help you with the bag as soon as the sign is off." "I don't care about your rules," he snapped. "I need it now." Anaya took a deep breath, then asked, "What's your name, sir?" "It's James," he whispered. "Hi, James," she said softly. "I understand you're worried about your bag, but you need to take a moment to breathe. I promise you, it will be okay." She could see that he was trying to calm himself down, so she pressed on. "I know it's scary when the seatbelt sign is on, but please trust me, we're gonna be fine. And once we land, you'll be able to take your bag whenever you want." She saw a flicker of James's old self in his eyes, a hint of the man he used to be before fear took over. With gentle persistence, she kept talking to him, reminding him that everything would be all right. After a while, James slowly began to relax. Anaya noticed that he was taking slower, deeper breaths, and his shoulders slumped with relief. She knew that she had only bought some time, but it was enough for the plane to level out again and for the seatbelt sign to turn off. As soon as she could, she went to James and helped him put his bag in the overhead compartment. Of course, that meant that there was no space left for her things, but she didn't mind because the most important thing was that James was safe. A few minutes later, when the coast was clear, she slipped out of the plane and ran to the cargo hold where she kept her personal items. Luckily, it was empty. As she was putting her things away, she heard a commotion at the door. She turned around and saw James coming towards her, a sheepish grin on his face. "Ah, Anaya," he started awkwardly. "I was wondering if you could possibly move my seat. I don't really like sitting in the front." Anaya couldn't help but smile. Of course, she knew what he was doing. He was trying to make it up to her after his outburst. "Sure, James," she said with a wink. "No problem. Let's get you moved." She helped him pack up his stuff and moved it to the back of the plane, where he could be away from prying eyes and ears. Once they had settled in, she wrote him a small note of apology for not being more understanding earlier and slipped it under his seat cushion. James read the note and his face broke into a wide smile. He felt terrible about how he had acted earlier, but it was too late now. But then he had an idea. He pulled out his phone and started typing. A few minutes later, he looked up and saw Anaya approaching him with a hesitant smile. "Hey, Anaya," he started. "I wanted to apologize again for earlier. I was just so worried about my bag, you know, and then I got scared and I lashed out at you. I'm sorry." "Oh, James," she said warmly, placing a hand on his arm. "It's all right. I understand. You were just looking out for your stuff. No worries." He blushed, embarrassed, but then he brightened. "Hey, Anaya, do you maybe want to grab a coffee sometime? My treat?" "Of course." She laughed, surprised by his boldness. "Wow, James, you sure are a character." They talked for a while longer, and by the end of the flight, they had become fast friends. When they landed, Anaya walked behind James as he made his way out of the plane. "So, Anaya," James started, turning to face her. "Do you maybe want to grab a coffee sometime?" "My treat, of course." "Wow, James, you sure are a character," she said with a laugh. "But maybe another time, maybe after I get off work." And as they parted ways, Anaya couldn't help but smile. Sometimes the tightest spaces can bring people the widest aisles of kindness.